I'm outside of historic Memorial Coliseum where Kentucky just beat the crap out of USC Upstate 90-30 in a dominant all-around win. I mean, defense looked amazing. Defense continues to look great. WT, shout out to Wildcats Tongue on Twitter, he released a stat where Kentucky, heading into tonight's game against USC Upstate, was ranked 12th in the country defensively, according to Bart Torvik. That ranking surely to go up. Kentucky might be a top 10 defense by the time we get out of here tonight. Just incredible stuff. I mean, the story of the game for sure is Toni Morgan, right? I think it was 11 points she had, which that's good. We like to see her scoring the ball. That's something she'd kind of struggled with in prior games. She even hit a 3 tonight. But the big thing, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9, not 10, not 11, or 12, 13, 14, 15, but 16 dimes, 16 assists for Toni Morgan. That tied a program record set by Patty Jo Hedges in 1982. That's some incredible stuff. If you're new to if you're new to this, I'm gonna move up my mic just a little bit. If you are new to this, Patty Jo Hedges, besides Georgia Amore, maybe the best point guard to ever play here, right? Was a part of the SEC championship team, Elite 8 team. How many years ago was 1982? 43 years ago? 43 years ago, if I can do my math right. That's how long that record stood, and Toni Morgan just tied it tonight in her 4th game as a Kentucky Wildcat. I think what's even crazier, guys, Toni Morgan, through her first 4 games, has more assists than Georgia Amore did last year. And if you didn't know, Georgia Amore actually reset the single season assist record for Kentucky. So Toni Morgan ties the single game, is on pace to break the single season. And again, you bring her in this offseason, and there's so much talk about, Kentucky loses Georgia Amore. What in the world is Kenny Brooks going to do without his star point guard? And then you bring in Toni Morgan, who, was all ACC, averaged, I think, 5 assists a game at Georgia Tech, but could she be the floor general that you needed her to be? And the answer to that is yes. And not only is it yes, but hell yes, right? Again, 16 assists, incredible stuff. She's recorded 9+ assists in 3 straight games. That's really what you want. She had, and we talked about it all summer long, how, she can boost her assist numbers way up if she can just get the ball to open shooters and if they can make the shots. Kentucky was 14 of 40 from 3-point range. That's 35%. I think that's a really good number if you're Kentucky, especially when you consider, the 5 for 29 outing, when you consider, how poorly you shot against Morehead State. Kentucky's 3-point shooting, I'm curious to see, is it going to be off and on, or are we going to be more consistent, hopefully more consistently good than we are consistently bad? But again, Kentucky, 14 of 40, that number may not sound the greatest, but that's 35%, and you'll certainly take that. By the way, I think it's interesting how, in the post game, because Kentucky was on pace for nearly 53s at the end of the first quarter. They were 5 for 12 at the end of the first period. Someone asked Kenny, and they're like, "Hey man, do you try to shoot this many threes? Is this a part of your thing?" And he's just like, "No, not necessarily. We just want to take what the defense gives us." And to me, I really like that. I'm not here crapping on Mark Pope at all, because he's obviously a great coach, but I think about how he sits here and he's like, we have to get the 33s. We have to. And, I watched, thing with the Louisville game last night, right? We don't want to, but just for conversation purpose, sometimes Kentucky's shot selection isn't great. And obviously that is the case with the women too. I'm not saying they're perfect, but Kentucky, if the 3 isn't open, then you saw it a lot tonight, and you've seen it a lot these first 4 games, where they'll just go inside and they'll use their 6'5" girl, their 6'4" girl, and get the easy layup, right? Because again, 3-pointers, an open 3 is obviously more efficient than a mid-range contested shot, but what's more efficient than an open 3? An open layup. You know what I mean? That's just one of those things where Kenny continues, I think, to really develop this team, kind of put them in position to not only win games, but win them again dominantly, 90-30. Shout out to Claire Strack, who had 18 points, 16 rebounds, 4 blocks, 3 steals. Again, guys, Is she going to repeat as SEC Defensive Player of the Year? Obviously, we have to wait and see for when conference play gets here, and I'm interested to see how she does against Louisville, who, at the time of me recording this, they were tied 62-62 with Colorado at home. It's an unranked Colorado team. Of course, I think a good Colorado team, but, you know, Jeff Walls and the Cards, they have 2 losses early. Of course, I know their first loss of the season was against UConn. You know what I mean? Like, it's the best team in the country. I'm not going to give them crap for that one. And Amelia Hassett, shout out Millie, man. She comes out here, puts up 20 points. I think she is Kentucky's second leading scorer behind Clara Strack. Like, that's pretty impressive. I mean, I get pretty quiet, albeit, right? 20 points, I believe the number was maybe, not 4, I think 4 of 9 from deep was Asia Boone. Shout out to her, 4 of 9 from deep, Asia Boone, 12 points. Got some good stuff there. I don't remember what Amelia's shooting numbers were, but they were much better. Like, you've seen this season where she's kind of been cold in some games, and then tonight she was hot. She was hot the other day. I believe it was against Monmouth in that game when she was hot there too. And I asked Kenny post-game, I was like, hey man, how big is it? How much of a relief is it to be able to have Amelia come out and, again, start to kind of find her groove offensively? And he's like, man, she's worked so hard. Like, she came in this summer and just, put her head down and just got to work. And you can see it. Again, it's incredible stuff for her. 20 points from Amelia Hassett. Jordan Obi, she gave you 12 points. I feel like ever since that first game of 15 and 15, she just kind of came back down to earth just a little bit. But again, you'll take 12 points from her. Tiani Key had a double-digit outing. Started out a little cold and figured out her game as it went along. Again, I thought it was an interesting post-game where Kenny Brooks was like, he was looking at the stat sheet, and obviously there's all this good, right? I mean, you beat a team by 60. Okay, Kenny Brooks is going to try to find what can they work on. And he looks at Tiani Key and Jordan Obi, who, if you look at their offense, pretty much had pretty good games. Defensively, pretty solid games. But when it came to offensive rebounding, they had 0 combined rebounds. Now, obviously for us, we're not looking at that right now. You know what I mean? Maybe when we go watch the tape later, we'll take a look at that. But Kenny, I think it's so interesting. And obviously coaches are going to always be like this, right? But it's so interesting to me how he'll look at the stat sheet and he'll just immediately find what Kentucky needs to get better at. And I think he's right. Jordan Obi, yes, is a smaller player. She's a bigger guard, but smaller compared to her teammates. And of course you have Tiani Key, 6'5", but he's right. They can't necessarily go, combine for nothing on the offensive boards. You got to crash the offensive glass. I think Clara Strack had 4 offensive rebounds, if I remember right. So not too shabby on her part. But again, just a solid all-around win for Kentucky. You didn't get anything from Lexi Blue. I was kind of hoping to see that, but, she came in, did some good stuff, I thought. Josie Gilvin, kind of the same boat. I think it's a train. I think it's like a train whistle or something going on here in Lexington. I'm not totally sure, but again, Kentucky with a 60-point win. That is a very loud train whistle. 60-point win. I mean, Kentucky holds an opponent to under 40 points. I got this stat courtesy of Noah Frary. Shout out Noah. I don't know if he got this from the broadcast watching the game. He wasn't here tonight. Again, shout out Maggie Davis, who was calling play-by-play. I'll have to go back watch the game, see how she did. But Kentucky held an opponent to under 40 points for the first time since 2020 when they did so to Wofford. Got to be pretty pleased with that, right? I think Kentucky defensively couldn't, and again, I brought this up at the beginning of the rapid reaction, but Kentucky defensively could be one of the best teams in the country, if not the best, almost, right? I mean, I think I was looking at it, you're holding opponents to like 40 some odd points per game. That number went down. I'm sure it might even be in the 30s right now. And through 4 games, that's pretty impressive. I know the competition has been what it is. Morehead State, Monmouth, Buffalo, and USC Upstate. Not the most, insane opponents in the world, I know. But those are still impressive numbers that you can look at and be glad about. Kentucky this Saturday goes on the road to play at Marshall. Tennessee's head coach, Kim Caldwell, was the head coach at Marshall. Of course, when she went to Tennessee, Marshall went out and got Julie Folks, who, I don't know my cardinal directions off the top of my head, but somewhere, I want to say down this way maybe, was coaching at Transylvania not that long ago, had like the ridiculous winning streak, competing for national championships there, and now she's at Marshall. And, you know, Kentucky goes on the road for this game. So that's interesting. You already have to play a road game against a mid-major again. But they just, you know, they're 2-1 on the season. Their only loss is to Indiana on the road, and it's like a 6-point game. So this is not your typical mid-major. This is not you. They will not be USC Upstate level bad. I will be so surprised if we beat them by 60. It's not going to happen. But again, it'll be a good test for Kentucky, and I'm not sure you could be heading into that game on a much higher note, especially again after you beat a team like you did tonight in completely dominant fashion. I'm Phoenix Stevens outside of the beautiful historic Memorial Coliseum once again for KSR's rapid reaction to Kentucky's 90-30 win. Needed this so badly after that Louisville game last night. Again, Kentucky Saturday will be on the road at Marshall. I'll be there. I'll see you guys for that rapid reaction as well. Stay warm. I'm currently cold. My hands feel like icicles right now. Again, 90-30 win in historic Memorial Coliseum. I'm going to get back inside, do some post-game content. But until next time, like, comment, subscribe on the KSR YouTube channel. Please keep up with all the content we put out. We thank you all so much for doing so. I'm Phoenix Stevens. See you guys next time. Go Cats.